Akabo Wakatu. This is Daku, and today's topic is programming through repetition. Now, Western education is based largely on memorization. Memorization depends greatly on repetition. Repeating that which one is taught is factual, helps one to remember these so-called facts. The problem is that there is so much information, or misinformation I should say, that one must remember, that there simply just is not enough time to ask the questions and therefore get the answers necessary to fully grasp concepts. Many people are not wired to learn this way and are therefore diagnosed, or I should say misdiagnosed, with learning disabilities. I contend that what we call learning disabilities are really teaching disabilities. It's not the student's inability to learn many times. It's the teacher's inability to teach. Not only do many Western teachers lack the ability to teach, much of the information they find themselves commissioned to teaching is erroneous. These teachers have difficulty teaching because, among other things and other reasons, they were also primarily taught by repetition, not so much to think, but to memorize. It's more difficult to program a thinker because with every bit of information a thinker is given, he or she will have even more questions that usually go unanswered. Are you a thinker, or are you someone that was programmed? Do you think, or do you regurgitate? Well, today we're going to take a look at the English language as an example of how important memorization and repetition is to programming and how it affects the student's ability or inability to learn the language. Now, the first thing we have to keep in mind is that the information in this case, the language itself, is faulty. Learning faulty information requires you not to ask questions. If you ask too many questions, you will fail to understand the basic understanding. And that understanding is that the language doesn't make logical sense. Because it doesn't make logical sense, you can't really make sense of it. It's as simple as that. But let's look at a few words to prove this point. Now, we're just going to look at the spelling of a few easy words, and I want you to write these words down as we go along. As we go over these words, I want you to think outside of your programming, because we've been programmed to think the way we think about much or most of what we think. It'll be painful and difficult, but once you begin to question your programming, you won't be able to turn the questions off, because you'll begin to see that your programmers have also been programmed, so they don't have any real logical answers to your questions. But let's get started. Because we don't have a lot of time, I want to do this rather quickly. All right? Remember, I want you to write these words down as we go along so you can get a visual of what I'm talking about here. Now, I want you to sit as the teacher now. And these are the questions that you ask your students. How do you spell Zion? Z-I-O-N, correct? Zion. Z-I-O-N. How do you spell lion? L-I-O-N, correct? L-I-O-N. How do you spell ion? I-O-N, correct? So now the student believes they understand. So as a teacher, you throw them a curveball and you ask them how you spell fashion. Now as a thinker, they know that you spell shun, S-H-U-N. So they answer by saying, okay, fashion. F-A-S-H-U-N. You writing this down? That's the answer they give based on their ability to think and reason. All right? Now, as a teacher, you say, come on, no, that's not it. You spell fashion. F-A-S-H-I-O-N. Fashion. Well, of course, course, the student is confused and puzzled as to how this could be. But you go further and you say, okay, well, let's try another word. Okay? Now, wait is spelled W-A-I-T. Wait. Gate is spelled G-A-I-T. Gate. Bait is spelled B-A-I-T. So you ask the question. All right, how do you spell mate? The student answers mate. M-A-I-T. You say no, the answer is actually M-A-T-E. Again, the student is confused and puzzled. You say, let's try another word. All right? Face is spelled F-A-C-E. Race is spelled R-A-C-E. Lace is spelled L-A-C-E. Grace is spelled G-R-A-C-E. Brace is spelled B-R-A-C-E. All right? You got that? So you ask the student, how do you spell bass, as in the guitar? The student says, bass, B-A-C-E. You say no, but before you have a chance to give the student the answer, or the correct answer, the student, beginning to understand the programming, says, wait a minute, I think I know the answer. Is it bass, B-A-S-E? You say no, the proper spelling is B-A-S-S. Now the student is confused even further, thinking to him or herself, wait a minute. I know that ass is spelled A-S-S. Grass is spelled G-R-A-S-S. Glass is spelled G-L-A-S-S. Mass is spelled M-A-S-S. But here my teacher is telling me that bass is spelled B-A-S-S. Now this is where the student begins to question his or her own self. The student says, I just don't get it. Maybe I am slow. Maybe I do have a disability. Maybe I do need a tutor. When in all actuality, the teacher is programmed. The tutor is programmed. And even the parents are programmed. Most of the people around the child are programmed. Well, I'm here to tell you today that the child may not have a disability at all. It may be that the child really has a greater ability than most to resist the programming. This has been Daku Akabo Wa'akatu.